Guys, we have Dan Povenmeier here. This is a super exciting thing. Dan is like Leonardo da Vinci. He is an amazing, I really believe so. You're an amazing animator, a writer, a musician.
I trimmed my beard a lot thinner than he did.
You just got to do a Vitruvian Man type art thing and you're good. Yeah. But among the things that you guys do know for sure that Dan has created are Phineas and Ferb, Milo Murphy's Law, the voice of Doofenshmirtz, and he's currently working on a show called Hamster and Gretel for Disney. You've also worked on Family Guy.
I did for like 6 years or something like that.
Holy cow. Did you voice a lot of characters on that?
No, I did not voice anybody till Doofenshmirtz, other than occasionally we would do little things like, oh, we need a crowd here. Let's all just get in a room and do this and just slide it in under the wire. But not on Family Guy. Family Guy, they had a bunch of writers were already SAG and stuff like that. Seth would periodically ask me if I was SAG because I would do temps for stuff, and he's like, "Are you SAG?" Like, and I was like, "I wish I was. I wish I was."
How did that come about? You just had an idea of how Doofenshmirtz would sound, and so you said, "I kind of need to do this, dude."
Yeah, when I was first writing those lines, like his first lines, like, Patty the platypus, what an unexpected surprise. And by unexpected, of course, I mean completely expected. That was like I was just doing that when I would pitch it to people. I would do that voice, and the executive on the show said, "I think you should do Doofenshmirtz for the pilot." And I did, and it tested through the roof and everything, but I still had to re-audition for myself, basically.
So crazy.
For Doofenshmirtz when we went to series, and we had to audition a bunch of really good voice actors that I was just trying to get them to sort of sound like me, because I felt like this is how the character sounds in my head. And Swampy's argument was like, we're going to spend a lot of time trying to get somebody to sound exactly the way Dan says it when he says it.
Yeah.
A lot quicker for us, and will save us a lot of studio time if Dan just does it. And so they said yes.
And that's how you joined the union?
That's how I joined the union. Yes, that was it.
That's amazing. So, but he has a slightly like a Russian thing happening in there. How did you choose that?
It's not really, it's sort of vaguely Eastern European. And I've noticed my daughter has gone back and watched the whole series like during COVID. And I noticed that first season, he had a much thicker accent. He started assimilating in second season as I got lazier. And by third or fourth season, he's really just talking in English. He's just talking in American accents, but with this voice.
Well, that's what happens when you've lived here enough. Your English gets better.
Exactly. It's like he assimilated a lot over the same summer.
Yeah. So I love two stories that you've told me, and I'd love for you to share with people watching right now. They're most of my followers are animation fans. They love anime, anything animated, and video games. So this is like their world, and voice acting is a big passion of a lot of them. You mentioned Doofenshmirtz. Doofenshmirtz had a different name, and I think the original name is hysterical, even though Doofen is kind of funnier. Can you tell me about that?
He was originally because we created the show in like 1993, and it didn't get bought till 2005. So there's like 13 years where the show existed, and Dr. Doofenshmirtz was Dr. Mittelschmertz. And then halfway through the development process, they told me, I think we have to change Doofenshmirtz's name. I said, why? It's like, well, do you know what Mittelschmertz means? And I said, well, I didn't just make it up. Yes, I know what it means. Because Mittelschmertz is the pain a woman feels while ovulating. Specifically while ovulating, there's a little tiny pain that women who are trying to conceive learn to recognize that pain, because it's like, oh, now we need to get busy because we're trying to have a kid. And Disney was like, well, we can't do that, because I said, well, first of all, it's not a dirty word, and it's not even a clean word for something dirty. It's something that takes place in people's bodies all, like every month. Every woman has this thing, and they say, yes, but it has to do with procreation. So we steer clear of that on our main characters.
Oh my gosh.
So then we had to like, okay. And we had lived with him as Mittelschmertz for so long, I couldn't imagine him being anything else. And now when I remember that he used to be Mittelschmertz, it's like, oh, what a weird name that would have been. We got down to either Nackenschmertz, which translated in German as silly pain, or no, as pain in the neck. Or Doofenshmirtz that translated as silly pain, and we thought Doofenshmirtz sounded funnier, so we went with that.
So yeah, let's talk about this crazy TikTok stardom we have going, guys.
It's weird.
It's amazing. Dan has over 4.2 million followers. You were like at 500,000, and I'm like, holy shit, awesome! And then you hit 1 million, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yes, and then it just kept happening.
It just keeps going.
It just kept happening.
So what made you start? I know you incorporate your daughters a ton, particularly Melly, right? It's just so good.
Yeah. Both of my daughters were on it all the time. And
but doing the little dances, right? Just doing little.
Well, like Melly does a lot of comedy on it, which I think is funny. And I had never really paid much attention to it, but I did create an account at one point, and I think I uploaded one video and then forgot all about it, and then I was making these at the beginning of quarantine. I was making these rap videos just to put on YouTube and to put on Twitter and Facebook and stuff, and just to send to friends. And I was just putting them on and trying to make a little bit of a splash on YouTube and doing like a premiere time and tweeting about it and stuff. And I put it on YouTube and it got like 70,000 views or something like that, which to me was like a really great number. It was like, it's like that's really successful.
Yeah.
I should probably also put it on this TikTok thing because I have an account, and I put
this
it there,
TikTok thing.
And it got like 250,000 views in like 2 days or something like that, because I talk like Doofenshmirtz in it just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm suddenly like, oh my God. And like, like all these comments and stuff like that. I think there's this whole like untapped, group of kids who know all of my stuff that sort of miss the show, especially now that we're in quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
I should start sort of speaking to those guys. And I think that it really helped the movie that we released on Disney Plus last year. I think it really helped those numbers, because I was the only person. Disney wasn't promoting on TikTok at all. I was the only person promoting that movie to the people who wanted to see it the most. And I was just having the time of my life making these little videos, and I've always loved editing live action stuff. It always reminds me of film school, and I really enjoy that.
One of the interesting things about TikTok, though, is that, the production value doesn't need to be super complicated or super high. Just you talking as Doofenshmirtz is entertaining enough for all the lovers, of Phineas and Ferb. So it's almost like you just addressing them and saying, hey, I haven't forgotten about you. It was already huge, because you have the diehard fans there already. Nico Mamba Forever says his favorite Doof song is Goody Two Shoes Brother. Do you remember that one?
What, my Goody Two Shoes brother? The favorite of my mother is the one I want to smother in a ton of pigeon go. There's a story behind that chorus, because we had decided we were going to write a song for Doofenshmirtz there when he's trying to dive bomb. He's got a bunch of pigeons, mind-controlled helmets, and he's going to dive bomb his brother and embarrass him by having these pigeons poop on him. And decide, okay, we'll have Doof sing like a big song there. And then we went into a meeting with the executives about some other thing entirely. And, it was about, I don't know, the schedule or something. And we're in this meeting, they're talking, and Swampy has got his legal pad, and he's like making really copious notes. And I'm like, he's writing down everything. Is this that important? I feel like I don't need to write this. Like, I was feeling, well, should I be writing this down? and we leave, and I said, like, what were the notes you were taking? And he said, oh, I wrote this chorus, and he had written it was like, but my Goody Two Shoes brother, the favorite of my mother, is the one I want to smother in a ton of pigeon goo. And I was like, we have to write the rest of that right now. And we just went into his office and wrote it.
And you write a lot of the songs that are on Phineas?
Yeah, I wrote the majority of the songs in Phineas. I either wrote or co-wrote. And
holy cow.
I've probably written around 500 songs for Disney at this point, something like that. I haven't actually checked my IMDb or anything, but
my God, there is a lot of things going at the same time. While you were doing the Phineas and Ferb movie, you were also pitching the pilot that now is a project you're working on. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean I went off. I told our development exec at the time, Jermaine Turner, the basic idea of this show that I wanted to do, and he was like, "Oh, that's exactly the kind of thing we're looking for. Why don't we'll talk after the break?" And I went off and just boarded and recorded and made a pilot for it, just all myself.
I love that you could just do that. Let me just make a pilot by myself on my free time.
Because for me, like, I've seen so many people go through the development process, especially at a big place like Disney, where you write a script and they give you notes, and you write another draft and they give you notes, and then you write another drafting like this, and that can go on for like a year, and I don't feel like doing that. And so for Phineas and for Milo and for Hamster and Gretel, I just went off and made a pilot that was all me doing all the voices, but they could see what the show was.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the problem of reading a script, is nobody can really tell what that's going to be like just from the script. They can say, okay, this is a good script, but you have no idea whether it's going to be funny or good or anything by the end of it, because it's all dependent on the execution. Yeah. And this way I was just able to show them how it was all going to be executed. And then they loved it, and they threw it right into testing, and it tested. I guess they tell me it broke all their testing records. So,
well, that's great.
So
what's the premise, or if you can share this?
I can share. So it's Hamster and Gretel is about Kevin and Gretel, who are an older brother who can drive. He's like 16, and a much younger sister. I had a sister that was almost 10 years younger than me when I was younger. So I like that dynamic of the kid who's almost an adult and the sister who's still really a kid, not even a teenager at this point. And Kevin has been waiting till he could drive because he feels like his life is going to start. He can go out and grab his own destiny now that he has wheels. And of course, it's not like that when you're the older brother. You end up being the chauffeur for your younger sister, and so he's just driving his little sister to and from places in his mother's minivan.
We have Lightning Shay say, all I want to hear at this point is how Dan would describe video chatting if it was one of Doof's Inator machines.
I've made a talk to your face Inator, because, on a telephone, you don't get to see the other person's face. So I've created an Inator that will allow you to see the face of the person talking on the phone. And I call it the Talk to the Face Inator, and it's going to be big.
This is so much fun. I think also that the fact that you've been, you created the show too. We were very careful about using Sombra's voice and stuff like that. Like, I'm not technically allowed to just use her voice all the time. Like, Sombra would do this and say that because it's somebody else's IP. But you're like the creator. And in the end, you're helping Disney by all this crazy publicity that, ends up helping them.
Disney started realizing, like when they saw my numbers start going up, they started using me in ways they had never used me before for promos and stuff like that. Because it's like, oh, people recognize Dan's face now. We can put him on the channel here. So I shot a promo for a Phineas and Ferb marathon in this room on my phone that went on the air on Disney Channel like the next week, where I was like singing the Perry the Platypus song.
Yeah.
As me. There's a lot more of that. Oh, okay. Now the audience will know, like his the visual of him means a little bit something to our audience now.
Absolutely. Well, another thing that I've realized by going to Comic Cons is, even like I've been a fan of Disney movies my whole life, but then watching the voice come out of a human versus the cartoon is so different. And I love those videos. Like I watched a Phil Lamar Vanity, I think it was a Vanity Fair video or one of those where they like put him in the booth and he's saying all the lines, and then they have his characters doing the thing here, and it's awesome to watch that. So when I see Doofenshmirtz coming out of you who looks so different, it's just like, oh, like we geek out over that too. So obviously it makes sense that the public would want to see this. Thank you, Dan. This was super
great,
fun.
Carolina. I can't wait to see you in real life when all of this pandemic thing is over.
I know we need to have some arepas and do some VR fun or something.
Very good. All right, ciao.
Thank you. The chat loved you.
Bye-bye, stay evil.